organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up tonight on Daily Iowan TV, University of Iowa students stand in solidarity with students in the University of Missouri system.
Plus the resulting damage from Wednesday night's weather that rocked the state of Iowa.
Kinnick Stadium is going to be completely full on Saturday.
And it's not just for football. Find out in sports how wrestling is taking over Kinnick Stadium as well.
All that and more coming up.
Daily Iowan TV starts now. And I'm that.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Haley Van Dyke.
And I'm Katie Reber. On Thursday, the University of Missouri's governing board elected Michael Middleton to serve as the school system's interim president. Middleton, an African-American man, has spent 30 years at Mizzou. He started as an undergraduate before continuing on faculty. He helped create the Legion of Black Collegians, the student group involved in the ongoing protests. Decades ago, Middleton also participated in student protests over civil rights in the Vietnam War. He succeeds Tim Wolf, who resigned on Monday.
While some UI students demonstrated their support for minorities affected at Missouri on Wednesday, students nationwide are joining the cause on social media. These students are using two hashtags, Concerned Students 1950 and In Solidarity with Mizzou, to technologically hold hands with the protesters on the scene. The first hashtag is in reference to the student group who initially called for Tim Wolf's resignation as president of the MU system. This online show of solidarity comes from students from San Diego State University to Mount Julio in Massachusetts and everywhere in between.
Iowa City is beaming as Kinnick Stadium prepares to host two landmark events on Saturday, one for wrestling and one for football. We'll have more on the X's and O's later on, but for now, Daily Iowan TV's Casey Lindekrantz explores how and when the party's over, someone has to clean it all up.
Every Sunday morning, bright and early at 7 a.m., volunteers from local schools and churches converge on Kinnick Stadium to clean it. This activity has a good turnout of around 400 individuals per week and consistently has had that for the past 3 decades. This group, appropriately named the Kinnick Cleanup Crew, generally takes about an hour and a half to do a clean sweep of the stadium in small groups. They take the time to pick up all sorts of trash, from hot dog wrappers to game programs that can be found in the stands and even strewn on the field. After they're done, the stadium looks nearly spotless, and no matter the weather, the crew still gets the job done.
Still, they know it's rain or shine or snow and shine, whatever the case may be, that they come and enforce and get it cleaned up.
While the cleanup crew won't have to come between the grapple on the gridiron and the Minnesota game this Saturday, they'll still be here in full force this Sunday at 7 a.m. Reporting from Kinnick Stadium at the University of Iowa, this is Casey Lindekrantz, Daily Iowan TV.
A big storm ripped through the state of Iowa City Wednesday night, and a tornado touched down near Des Moines here in Iowa City. Heavy rain and hail pleated the UI campus. For more on the storm and the upcoming weather for this week, let's toss it over to Ashley Kruger on the Weather Studio.
Severe storms swept through Iowa and several other Midwestern states Wednesday evening into Thursday, bringing with it tornadoes and even the first snow of the season. Officials from the National Weather Service are in Iowa right now to survey damages across parts of eastern Iowa. Officials from the NWS have confirmed that tornadoes touched down in Des Moines and Evoca, along with heavy rain, snow, and even some hail. They believe the tornado hit around speeds of 80 miles per hour, categorizing it as an EF1 tornado. Parts of southeastern Iowa saw damage of farmland, building, and trees. In western Iowa, heavy winds flipped over a semi-trailer traveling on I-80. As for the rest of the week, the skies should clear up a bit. Friday morning starts off at a cool 33 degrees, and as we approach midday, we see partly cloudy skies at a comfortable 48 degrees. Closing off the day, we get back to where we started at 33 degrees. Heading into the weekend, we see overcast skies with a high of 59 degrees across both Saturday and Sunday, and the lows only around 40 degrees. Those attending Saturday's night game will be happy to hear that it will remain a nice day with temperatures sitting in the high 40s at dusk. Jumping into next week, we see the rain pick back up. Monday has a 70% chance of rain, while Tuesday has a confident 90% chance. With highs in the mid-50s and lows in the mid-40s, we can at least appreciate this rain will not be turning into snow here quite yet. That's all I have for you here in the weather studio. Back to you guys at the desk.
After 3 long years, the Iowa Institute of Human Genetics can now test for all sorts of kidney diseases. KidneySec, developed at the Iowa Institute, can now test for roughly 170 kidney diseases by taking a blood sample and identifying patterns in the patient's DNA. It surveys the information looking for genetic mutations that could cause health problems. While the test costs $2,000, it gives doctors information to properly diagnose a patient while evaluating future trends in the area.
On Thursday, presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders received support from American Postal Workers Union. The group of over 200,000 strong is the largest labor union back in the Democrat. Sanders takes the boost and support him to Drake University on Saturday night, the site of the second Democratic debate.
On Thursday, Lebanese officials reported 2 suicide bombings in the country's capital of Beirut that killed 37 people and wounded several hundreds more. They believe the attack that took place in a suburb of Beirut known to be home to the Shiite Hezbollah group, an ally of the Syrian militant forces. A Lebanese security official said there was a 3rd bomber found dead with the explosives attached to him, potentially killed during the 2nd explosion. The attack has been claimed by members of the Islamic State, making it their 2nd attack in Lebanon since January of 2014. There is plenty of excitement brewing for what should be a fantastic weekend in Iowa City. 2 men's and women's basketball games sandwich the Saturday doubleheader inside Kinnick Stadium.
That's not even including the girls' volleyball state tournament also taking place in Cedar Rapids. Hotel rooms are hard to come by around here, but with all the excitement comes caution. This week, UI officials caution fans of counterfeit tickets, especially for the football game against Minnesota.
For more on what fans should expect to see this weekend, let's toss it over to Danny and Taylor in the sports studio for another exciting edition of Pregame.
Thanks, Katie and Haley. Welcome back to Pregame, where football isn't the only thing on the agenda.
Iowa wrestling is taking over Pregame, including Kinnick Stadium on Saturday afternoon.
Saturday, November 14th is the official opening day of the college wrestling season. As for Iowa, they're going to be doing it outside.
Wrestling reporter Zach Mackey has more on this historic grapple on the gridiron against top-ranked Oklahoma State.
40,000 people are expected to flock to Kinnick Stadium a little early this Saturday for Grapple on the Gridiron. It's being dubbed one of the biggest events in all of wrestling, and it's been in the works for quite some time.
Back when Tom first got here and we set the record, I don't know what year we set the record in, but he said if anybody ever broke it that we were going to come to Kinnick, and that was, I think, probably in 8, 9, or 10, somewhere around there. So we've been thinking about it for a while, and this just happened to be a good time to do it.
Iowa's fans are the driving force behind this decision.
Tell you what, it's important to our program and our fans are probably the number one motivation for us, is because they want to have the record. They take a lot of pride in it.
There is not a lot of difference for the Hawkeyes going from inside Carver Hawkeye Arena to outside in Kinnick Stadium.
What changed is our preseason got amped up a little sooner. Not working into the season at all. As far as preparation, it's go time right away.
Many people want to know how the weather is going to play a factor in a mid-November wrestling meet outside.
Yeah, everybody always talks about that. Like, what about the weather? What about the weather? It's going to be freezing. How are you going to do it? But once you, get out there and start wrestling, I don't think it's going to be a factor. I mean, your adrenaline, it's not going to matter.
The temperature isn't a problem. Once these guys get warmed up and they get a good sweat going, they come out, and then you're wrestling and you don't think about really anything other than wrestling. The rain or the snow is the one thing that would probably be close to a deal breaker, just because we can't have guys slipping around and hurting themselves, and that really would change the dynamic of a match, as if the mat got slippery.
Not only is Iowa wrestling outside, but they're doing it against the #1 team in the country.
Is something that you're looking at. You want a solid performance, but it comes down to those individual weight classes. We have to be ready to wrestle every match. When it's your turn to step on the mat, you got to be ready to wrestle. And that's a timeless philosophy, a timeless principle. And if you're not ready and things start to derail a little bit, you better be able to stop what's derailing you.
For Daily Iowan TV Sports, I'm Zach Mackey.
Danny, they are expecting to sell 10,000 walk-up tickets the day of the event.
As for Iowa football, tickets are completely sold out for their game against the Gophers.
The sold-out crowd will not only be electric for the game itself, but also for one player who is making his return to the field after being injured the last 3 weeks. Let's find out who.
Everyone has been waiting to hear these words.
It looks like we'll get Jordan Canzeri back. He's been able to practice pretty efficiently and well, so happy about that.
Senior Jordan Canzeri is back on the depth chart, sliding right in line with Akram Wadley, Derek Mitchell Jr., and LaShawn Daniels Jr.
We all pitching in. Jordan Canzeri definitely our leader, and we feeding off his energy. Him and CJ, they come in juiced up, then we right behind them juiced up. Whenever Jordan make a big play, that makes us want to make a big play.
These four running backs have a bond unlike most.
And that's a position where you could have jealousy, creep in pretty quickly and pretty easily.
Because we're a close-knit group of people in our running back room. We're always rooting for one another whenever someone else is in, going out there and making plays.
Canzeri, Wadley, Daniels, and Mitchell have combined net rushing yards reaching 1,623, which might explain why offensive lineman Cole Croston believes this offense is at its best when the running game is on point.
I think personally we're at our best when we can run the ball, because when we're running the ball, then we can make our play action fakes and we can throw it deep, and we can do everything through our offense if we can run the ball. Yep.
A question that keeps being brought into play is how the rotation is going to work. Kirk Ferentz puts it simply.
But if we have them all, that's great, and we'll play them all if they're healthy.
This Iowa rushing offense is second in the Big Ten with 1,845 yards, right behind Ohio State and Ezekiel Elliott at 2,165 yards.
There had been some talk regarding Iowa's Akram Wadley. He had a light week due to possible injury, but lucky for him, he has 3 running backs willing to carry his load.
Turning our focus now to how Iowa matches up with Minnesota on the gridiron with a veteran quarterback and an experienced secondary. Katie Reber tells us more.
Saturday's Big Ten matchup against the Minnesota Golden Gophers will be a chance for the Hawkeyes to retake possession of the Floyd of Rosedale. The Hawks are 2-0 in trophy games this season. Minnesota's team looks a little different this year. Iowa will face its 3rd interim head coach this season as Tracy Claeys brings the Golden Gophers to Kinnick. When it comes to defense, the Hawkeyes are red hot. Iowa ranks 2nd in the Big Ten in red zone defense, allowing only 15 scores in 20 trips. Minnesota has made only 26 trips to the red zone, 2nd fewest in the Big Ten. Iowa also has a Big Ten best 20 takeaways. Minnesota has 15, 4th most in the Big Ten. Don't forget about Iowa's power offense, as the Hawks have outscored their opponents 50-16 in the first quarter and 37-0 in the final 2 minutes of the first half. Iowa has an average of just over 100 rushing yards per game, 3rd best in the Big Ten and 9th nationally. Saturday night's game will be a historic game for the Hawks as they aim for their best start in school history, 10-0. This has been Katie Reber, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
The Big Ten currently has 5 teams in the top 25, and there are some big matchups coming in this weekend.
Purdue at Northwestern, Maryland at Michigan State after MSU was blindsided by a loss to Nebraska last weekend, Ohio State at Illinois.
Nebraska will be at Rutgers, Michigan at Indiana, and a 7 p.m. kickoff here in Iowa City for the Hawkeyes and Gophers.
That will do it for Danny and myself on Pregame. We will see you on wrestling opening day in Kinnick Saturday night. Katie and Haley, back to you.
That's all we have for you tonight on the Daily Iowan TV.
Be sure to check out our website, dailyiowan.com, for all the latest news between now and Sunday. For Daily Iowan TV, I'm Katie Reber.
And I'm Haley Van Dyke. Have fun this weekend, Iowa City.